will always fight for you. I will be watching, I will be listening, and I will tell you that the future of this country has never been better. I wish the new administration great luck and great success. Goodbye. We love you. We will be back in some form. Have a good life. We will see you soon. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Donald Trump saying a final goodbye to his supporters in the last hours of his presidency this morning as Joe Biden was sworn in at the Capitol as the 46th President of the United States of America.
Yet hear me clearly. Disagreement must not lead to disunion. And I pledge this to you. I will be a president for all Americans.
What's next for the GOP and the Republican Party faithful, the MAGA base, everyone everywhere across the country who voted for Trump and probably having a pretty rough day today, which I can appreciate. Let's bring in First TV contributor Rob Smith. My man, Rob, good to see you.
What's going on, Buck?
Let's start with this. How do you think the president handled just today, or really this morning, his last moments in office?
Well, look, I think that he handled it about as good as he could have. I mean, he thanked everybody for all of their help. He pretty much said that this movement stays, and then he, kind of went on his way. Do I think it would have been a really good show of national unity if he did end up at the inauguration? Yes, I think that would have probably been a good choice for national unity. But, Trump is going to be Trump, and he was Trump to the very end. So I'd be interested and looking forward to seeing what he does next.
Now, what are your expectations for where the MAGA movement, such as it is, goes? I mean, you're a guy who has not been afraid to MAGA for the last 4 years or so, and have certainly been supportive of this, not even just in a political sense, but you and I both understand there's a culture, a culture that transcends even just politics around Trump, of a kind of patriotism, and you had young people for the first time that I've ever seen excited in large numbers about GOP politics. Does this movement continue on with Trump as the originator, or does this movement continue on with Trump as the leader and figurehead?
I think it's a little bit different. It moves on with him as the originator, but also moves on with him as a kingmaker in the future. I think that he's going to be a huge part of the party moving forward. He doesn't just get on a plane and go to Florida and then we all say bye-bye Trump. No, he's still going to be a huge part of this. And I think that he's going to be very important in sort of lifting and elevating the next generation of, I guess, what we can say the MAGA faithful. These are people that are going to run for Congress. These are people that are going to run for even local positions. And I think that they're going to run on America First populist platform that he has popularized and pretty much reinvigorated the Republican Party. I think that sometimes, and maybe this is because it's in the left's best interest to ignore this, but this is a true multiracial, very diverse coalition. You got blacks, you got Latinos, you got Asians. We just sworn in our first Korean American Republican Congresswoman, I believe. So what Trump did and what this movement is doing right now is letting people know that it doesn't matter what your race is, your skin color, your sexual orientation, your religion, any of that stuff. You can love America. You can be America first. And it is the people that have pro-America, populist America first policies that are going to be the next leaders of our party.
Now, the president has said that he's going to continue his communications with the MAGA faithful, such as they are. But what does it mean if he doesn't have access to not only the presidential social media accounts, which he no longer has because he's not president, but if they kick him off on a personal capacity? I mean, how do you think the president's going to be able to reach folks? Essentially, does this push conservatives further into the creating our own platforms and our own means of communication that are at least open to protecting First Amendment principles?
I think it absolutely does. But look, Buck, you and I know that when President Trump wants to get on Fox News or One American News or Newsmax or wherever, he is going to get that platform. President Trump will always have the platform to get his message and his ideas and his views out to millions and millions of people. I think that it's up to him right now to figure out how best he is going to do that. Social media censorship and all this stuff, this is terrible for people like you and I, but we don't have the reach and the platforms that Trump had. So I think that he is going to be just fine. I think in terms of social media reach and in terms of the sort of targeting and silencing of conservatives on social media, this is something that we're going to have to push legislation for our pro-America congressmen and women right now, Lauren Boebert, Madison Cawthorn, Dan Crenshaw. All of these people still have a voice and still have a platform to get these messages out there in terms of social media tech censorship. But do I think Trump will have any problem getting his face and his voice and his views out there? Absolutely not.
Rob, what do you think should be the primary focus areas for the MAGA movement? What is the legacy that should continue on now as we go into a political opposition phase, but also a political building phase where, as you mentioned, there are other candidates, there are other people who will be coming forward and stepping perhaps higher up the leadership rungs to become effectively auxiliaries of this Trump America First movement? I mean, what do you think are the principles that we have to push for that Trump brought to the forefront?
I think there's a couple of things. And I think that, something that doesn't really get talked about a lot is the cultural impact that Trump had on the Republican Party. He brought younger, fresher people in with newer voices, people that can connect the culture in a way that people hadn't before. So now we have a base of conservative influencers within the party, I would say people like myself, who are able to connect culturally in a way that people couldn't before. But I really do think that moving forward, what we really need to do is we need to relieve ourselves of all of the conspiracy theories about Dominion voting systems being controlled by Venezuela and all of this other stuff. Now, is election integrity an issue? Absolutely. And it needs to be addressed. But we really need to break down and figure out the real reasons why this election was lost. Because if not, we're going to be like Hillary Clinton and the left for the past 4 years. They lucked out. They still haven't learned their lesson. And I think that it's very important for Republicans and for the GOP and for conservatives to learn the lessons of why this election was lost, to learn the lessons about depressed white turnout. Why was that? To learn the lessons about how it's so tough for us to get a youth vote. So if we don't learn these lessons, we're not going to be able to come back strong in 2022 and 2024.
Rob, before we let you go, what are your expectations for, let's just put it this way, how left-wing is a Biden presidency going to be in its first year?
Well, in terms of policies, I don't think the policies themselves are going to be super far left-wing. I think that the conversation among leaders of the party, and I'm talking congressmen and women, I'm talking about, their political influencers, all that stuff. I think that conversation is going to be very, very left. I think we're going to hear more conversations about racism and white supremacy and all of these different things to distract from the fact that I don't think that these policies are going to be that far left. I think that there's going to be a lot of far left chatter, but I don't know if the policies are going to be that far left. Are they more left than I would like? Absolutely, because I think that they're going to cost a lot of money. And I think that they just don't really have a grasp of what to do for the economy. But do I think that the policies themselves are going to be that far left? No. But the conversations in terms of squawking about racism and white supremacy and all of this other stuff, it is going to go into overdrive to distract from the fact that the far left isn't going to get what they want out of this administration.
Rob, thanks so much for joining us, man. Better days ahead. Hey, Team Buck, just want to say thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more great content from The First, please click that subscribe button.